Building an Airbnb management business is the fastest way I know to generate 3 to 5K a month without owning any property at all. You don't have to take any risk. You don't need any mortgages. You don't need to save up for any deposits. You just manage the properties for people who already own them and take a 15 to 20% fee of all the bookings that come in. And the best part about it is you can do this from anywhere. I have been traveling for the past 2 years, all while this business is back in the UK, funding everything that I want to do in my life. And in this video, I'm going to break down the exact 3-step system that I've used to build this to multiple 6 figures, even while I was still in my 9 to 5. So let's go. Quick intro to me, by the way. I'm Dean. I run 2 businesses right now. The first is Parea Living, which is the aforementioned Airbnb business in the UK. The second is Work Worth Doing, which is the coaching business that I've created to help more and more people just step away from their 9 to 5 and bridge that gap from 0 to 1 and to get into entrepreneurship. And I'm not some guru who's sort of conjured this up out of thin air. Like, this is something that I've lost a lot of money on. In my first year, I did something called rent to rent and lost £40,000, like proper bad loss in my first year. But when I shifted to this model, the risk-free model, Airbnb management, I recouped all that money back, systemized the business, and now I travel full time. Now, that was a really difficult period for me. Like, it was very hard to bounce back when I felt like I just hit rock bottom. And so this is why I feel very passionate about helping other people step out of the 9 to 5 who have unfulfilled dreams and untapped ambitions, but to do it in a way that doesn't cost them so much time, energy, and financial stress like I had. Just something that's systemizable, repeatable, and that can be ran from anywhere and generate money with or without your presence. Okay, so what actually is Airbnb management? What is this thing I'm talking about here? So simply put, you find landlords who own properties. You offer to run their property as an Airbnb for them, handling bookings, guests, cleaning, and any maintenance that occurs. You are just the middleman here. So the landlord gets passive income for their asset without lifting a finger, meaning they can get more than they would get if they rented it out on a 12, 24-month basis to a tenant. So you're giving them a better return on their asset, and you're doing it for them hands off. So you're investing your time, providing the service, and they're bringing the asset to the table while you take care of the headache for them. Now, obviously this can be systemized, which I'm going to get to in a moment, but just to give you the difference between this model and a typical other model, which I got burnt on, which is called rent to rent, or if you're in the US, it's called arbitrage. Now, the thing about arbitrage is that it's quite risky. You can lose money on arbitrage. If you rent a property and your numbers are not good, you can stand to lose a lot of money. And not only that, you would have had to furnish it yourself. I'm in an Airbnb right now. This costs money to furnish. So it's either the owner or the person who's renting it on a rent-to-rent basis who pays for all this. Now, in the management model that I'm discussing with you right now, the owner pays for all this stuff and we just run it for them and provide the service. It's an extremely lean and scalable business because you don't need tons of capital to get another unit live. If you were doing rent to rent, you'd need to have tens of thousands ready every time you wanted to get a new property live. Whereas with this one, you can take on properties straight away and earn from day one. And the thing I got stuck on for such a long time before I started this was I was always just telling myself, oh, I'll start when the timing's better. Oh, I'll start when this thing is over. I'll start when that thing is over. And just year after year after year would pass for me. And I kept working in that mundane job, that life that I just knew, I knew it in my core that I was not where I was supposed to be, yet years kept passing me by. And it was only when I made that shift from researching to action that things started to change for me. Now, naturally it went down in year 1, but I got it back, but it was the action that I took that got me in motion and it actually starting to move on this. So let's break these 3 steps down now so it's easy for you to conceptualize what you need to do to earn your first £3,000 to £5,000. Okay, so step 1 is the service. So think about it this way. What is it that we are actually doing for the landlord? We're providing the cleaning, we're providing the maintenance, and we may even stage the property for them and make sure that it gets to the standard that we need it to be for photograph day. Again, we're not paying for any of these things to occur. We are just facilitating them happening. So think of this like the research phase where you can understand exactly what your business needs to do in order to provide the service. In this phase, we're setting up things like your company bank account, your business, your cleaning company, your maintenance providers that you're going to use and have on file for when things occur in a property. This is how we set up the foundations for your business so that you can go forth and speak to landlords in the area that you're going to work. Now, in the area that you're working in, you will want to look and see, right, what type of bookings are going to be happening in this area? You might be in a rural place and you might think, well, I'm not really going to get bookings here. The truth is, Airbnb, short let accommodation, short-term lets, whatever you want to call it, there is a demand for that everywhere. It just means that there might be different types of bookings there. So for example, in rural areas, you might get contractors who are working on a building site and they don't want to stay in a hotel, so they come and stay with you. Those types of bookings are amazing because they stay for a long time. I've had contractors and corporate providers come and stay with me for over 2 years. I've had a booking in one of my properties in the UK for £300 per night. I haven't touched that property. I haven't messaged that guest once, and that thing is just taking over month over month. So the point is, once you've targeted your area, once you've established your cleaning company, your maintenance team, your business and your bank account, you're then ready to go into section 2. And if you're like me, by the way, in a 9-to-5 job, you might be struggling a little bit with analysis paralysis. And I wish I could tell you that there was some antidote to that. But the thing that you're going to need to do to get away from that is just uncomfortable action. Like, you just need to get out of this phase of trying to have ultimate certainty in front of you, because there is none. In order for you to start to make money, to start to build relationships, to start to actually take some steps, it's going to take an uncomfortable first step. That is never going to feel amazing. You're never going to have ultimate certainty as you look ahead, and that's the price we pay in order to get the life that we want to live. So if you can act amidst that uncertainty, amazing things are going to happen for you. Like, I remember when I got my very first property, and I realized in that moment when I finally got that first yes, that all that uncomfortable action I was taking when things didn't seem super certain for me and I was unsure, that all it took was that first yes, and then the belief that compounded after that has just never ever subsided. Anyway, moving on to section 2, sales. How do we actually go and find landlords to bring into our service that we can provide for them? And this is where a lot of people get stumped, because they're like, Dean, I know this is a great model. How do I find landlords? And the reality is, if you think about everyone that you meet, everyone you walk by on the street, everyone you speak to in a cafe, online, is either one of two types of people. They are either a landlord themselves, or they can refer you a landlord. And so what you must understand with this business is that it is a people business. It's built off referrals, network, connections. And so what I did when I was starting this was just go to networking events. I would go out and speak to letting agents who also know a lot of landlords. The difference between you now with no clients and you with 5 clients is simply more people knowing about the fact that you provide this service. So when you understand that, you just got to think of it like a heat map and think, how can I increase the amount of people who are aware of my business, so therefore the likelihood of me getting a client increases. And the beauty about this is, the more and more you do that, the more and more clients you'll get. My own clients who are building an Airbnb business themselves are seeing this now, because just after 3 months, Jack and Sarah have signed their 5th deal. Sarah, Andy, JP, Dominica, Liam, all these other people are signing deals as well, just by increasing the amount of people that they tell about the fact that they're running this business. Now, on top of that, we also use meta ads to actually drive some traffic to the fact that we have this service. So there's so many ways that you can go forth and just acquire your first client. All you got to do is acquire that first client, and you will be filled with belief that you can go forth and just acquire more. Because once you do it once, you can keep stacking them, until you are bored and until you get the life that you want. And you might be thinking, well, I've got no experience in this. Why is a landlord going to give me their property? And I'll tell you exactly what I did and exactly what my clients are doing to get their first clients. And all it is just telling your story, sharing very openly and vulnerably why you're building this business. Hey, like for example, with me, I was like, hey, I want to get out my 9-to-5. I've been sitting on this buried dream that I can do something for myself for years and years and years. And I want to be more flexible. I want to be more location independent. This is really important to me, to not be stuck in one place all my life. And this business is the gateway for me to do that. And I'm taking this more serious than I've taken anything else in my life. And I've invested in a mentor. I've invested in somebody who knows what they're doing. And I'm working with them to build my own business and help clients who I can work with and build long-term relationships with. And for my first 3 clients, I'm providing a very low risk offer where I'm offering just a 10% fee for the first few months, so I can show you exactly how useful what my service is going to be for you. And you can feel comfortable, Mr. Landlord, knowing that you're going to get an amazing deal from me while I prove to you that the business I'm building is set up for long-term success. So all I'm doing there is sharing a very open and honest, vulnerable pitch to the landlord about my story, and also giving them a no-brainer offer that makes it very easy for them to feel comfortable to say yes to you, even though you have no experience. Remember, people are going to do business with you because you are you, not because you have tons of experience in the sector. Yes, you've got to act a little bit credible. That's why you shared a bit about working with a mentor, but equally it's your story, your personality. You are going to be the thing that gets the deals done. And so I challenge you, if you're ready to actually start this business right now, you feel like, actually, I've been researching a bit, I get this model, I'm going to go and do this. I challenge you to go now and speak to 15 people today. Write out a message and let them know, hey, I am starting an Airbnb management business and I'm really excited about it, and you can insert a bit about your story and what this means to you. And so if you're at the stage now where you're saying to yourself, I am going to start this business, I get it, I'm researching it, I'm ready to rock, go forth and try and build some relationships with landlords and speak the way I just spoke to you there. Share your story and give them a very, very good deal so it's easy for them to say yes, and so that they connect with you personally. The third and final part of this process is the system side. So the systems is how you're going to go from having a job to being the owner of the business who can travel and do whatever the hell you like with your time. Let's be real here. Nobody really gets into the Airbnb space because they just love the short let market. Most people, like you, like me, get into it because we just don't want to have to work a shite job our whole life. We want to have a bit more autonomy, and maybe we want to travel. Maybe we want to give back to our family. Maybe we want to just do things that aren't just in a corporate desk job all the time. And in order to get that, you're going to need the right systems in place so the business can function without you tapping away all day. And so here's what the systems look like at a bird's eye. You'll have automated messaging. So messages get sent to guests with their guest guide, check-in instructions, here's how to find the property, here's how you use the heating. All these things are automatically happening in the background, along with your dynamic pricing. So pricing the properties in such a way that squeezes that lemon for as much as you can, so that the property owners that you're working with, they get paid, and also so you get paid the most that you can per property. You'll use a tool like Price Labs or Wheelhouse. I personally use Price Labs, as I've always found that to be very useful. Third thing is cleaning coordination. You'll have your cleaners get back-end access to your systems, such as Uplisting, which is what I use as a centralized channel manager, where they can see any checkout and check-in that is occurring and know that they need to go to the property on this day at this time to clean the property before the next check-in. And then maintenance. So you'll build out a bit of a maintenance list of people that you can provide. The point about this is that these are all happening automatically. You want these systems to link together cohesively so that things are firing ahead and firing away, even without you being there, even without you speaking to guests. Now, eventually, after you get like 3, 4, 5 properties, you'll then hire a virtual assistant. I have virtual assistants who work with me for years now in Venezuela, in Bangladesh, in Philippines, in India, and all these guys are super, super well trained on how to run the business, and we've got all the time zones covered. And I could not have this business without them. They support everything to do with the businesses. They build out processes, they speak to guests, they speak to property owners, and make sure that the business is functioning, healthy, and profitable. And if you're sitting here thinking like, wow, that sounds like a lot of work, it is. You know, it does take a lot of work. And I think the risk that you're probably facing right now is that your life is probably just kind of okay. It's like not too bad where you need to try something. And the way that I made myself think about that was I would think long term. I would think 30 years in the future and say to myself, how would I feel if I didn't try anything? If I never ever tried to get out of this shitty job that I fucking hate? How would I feel about myself? And I sat with that, and that was a huge driver for me, because at the end of the day, you and me, we have one crack at this shit. We don't get another rerun. And to live in the future where you didn't do what you thought and knew and felt you should have done, that is very painful and a beautiful motivator. So I hope this thinking, this way of approaching these barriers that come up in your mind is helpful. And I also hope that this video explaining the breakdown of the business is helpful for you as well. If you found this useful, there's an email list below where I send out emails weekly providing some insights or tips that I'm learning about Airbnb. And if you want to just DM me on Instagram, ask a question, you can feel free to jump over to my Instagram, ask me a question. Or if you feel like you're actually ready, you think, okay, I actually maybe want to start this and maybe I want Dean's help to build an Airbnb business, there's a link below. You can jump on a quick call. We can just get a sense check to see if you want to explore it further, and we can schedule a further call if it sounds right. But that initial call is just to sort of see if this might make sense to take it further. But I hope at the very least you got some value from this video, and I hope to see you soon. And if you have any questions, just shoot me a message.